Okay guys, so you'll notice there's no workout, don't freak out, and you'll notice I'm not pedaling yet, so we're just going to have a quick little chat before we get started. So this is a course-based session, so this does need to be done on Training Peaks Virtual. Pick the Little Loops course, okay, and we'll do some hill reps. Part of the point of this is just to kind of show you how to do hill reps, and I'll talk to you a little bit about kind of why they matter so much. But yeah, just want to take a second just to make sure you don't freak out when you don't see any workout come out. It's a bit of a freestyling session. It might be a bit messy, it might not line up particularly perfectly with me, and that's not a big deal. You've got to have sessions like this. I know we're all I know some people get a little bit they perhaps don't like these types of sessions, but we've got to change it up. We can't just do structured sets every single time. So Little Loops course, if you want to pause now to kind of get yourself ready, then do so, but we're gonna get going in 10 seconds, and I actually don't have the timer. Yeah, 10 seconds, so we'll get going. And I'll just start pedaling. So Little Loops course, we start at the velodrome, and if you start pedaling at the same time as me in 2, 1, off we go. So we're gonna have we're just gonna do the start of the loop, and the climb that we're going to be focusing on is the climb up to this velodrome. I'll show you where it starts and stops, but the starting loop should take about 12-13 minutes, and we'll just use that as our warm-up. Don't worry too much about power, build it up steadily, starting kind of zone 1, just get turning over the legs, and then just steadily building up into zone 2. The first rep we do up the climb will be sort of like a leg opener. So when you do these in the real world, I call them recce reps. The first rep where it's about opening up the legs a little bit, but also checking the climb for obstructions, potholes, kind of getting a sense of what gear you need to be in, etc. So always do that out on the real world. They always do a recce rep of the climb. Don't smash up it blind. Go really wrong, because you're not just wrecking the descent, you also want to see what you're dealing with when you're coming back down the other way. Okay, so whilst we're just warming up, as I say, we've got about 12-13 minutes of warm up before we hit the base of the climb again. I just want a quick thank you to Esther for this one. Today's discussion we talked about kind of pre and post race nutrition, and more specifically the effects that pre and in race nutrition can have on your post event recovery. Now, I've spoken a lot about pre-race nutrition in the past, but I haven't actually spoken that much about post-race recovery. Both are linked, and getting pre-race nutrition wrong can really impact how you feel after a race and how quickly you recover from it. And this is very relevant even at this point in the season where there's no racing or very little racing, because the same principles apply really to pre and post workout. So when I'm going through all this, this stuff all applies to training as well as racing, okay? But the racing, I think, really emphasizes the key points. So the key elements that I'm going to cover are why pre-race and pre-session nutrition matters, kind of in very briefly on in-race or in-session fueling, and then just again a bit about post-session, post-race recovery. But the lion's share of it is going to be on that before race or before training recovery, because that's the area that I think people find the most difficult to fully understand. I think post-race recovery is a much simpler concept. You've done the damage, you then need the fuel, the protein to repair, and that I think is just a bit of a simple thing to get your head around. So pre-event nutrition is arguably more important. You have to properly fuel your events and your sessions. You have to be carb loading in the 48 hours before a big event. And I'm not going to go into the detail on carb loading because we've got at least 2 videos specifically on that in the members area. There's a 10-minute talk and then a more detailed talk by what's his name? Our nutrition partners. Not a good start. So yeah, carb loading, being fully stocked, having those glycogen stores, chock-a-block, so important for a race. And also for a training session. You know, a training session like this, you do not want to do it under-fueled. You want to be eating 2 to 3 hours before a training session. And this really matters because if you race or train under-fueled, in essence it means that your body has to work harder, disproportionately harder, to keep you going, because it doesn't have the requisite fuel, the easy access fuel to burn. And so it means that you might actually be burning a disproportionate amount of protein. So fat, carbs and protein, they're all energy sources. You don't really want to be burning protein. You want the focus to be on low intensity fat burning, high intensity carbohydrate. But if you've got no carb in your system, your body has to leach, has to break down proteins and fats and use those instead. Basically, it tends to lead to a pretty crap session. So your body has to go really deep into its reserves just to keep you going. And there's two classic examples of how that plays out. In a high intensity session, you bonk, you know, you get low blood sugar, you're a bit dizzy, and you just feel crap, and the session doesn't go well. The more subtle way, and I think this is where the disconnect tends to come with athletes, is in long, low intensity rides, under fueling those. So anything over an hour and a half session, you should be fueling. Okay, what that means is a lot of things, but over an hour and a half, your session needs fueling. In race, in session fueling. You know, we talked about 70 to 100 grams of carb an hour, depending where you are in the cycle. It depends on which end of that spectrum. Close to the race, you want to be hitting 100 gram carb. Your body's prepared to take on that amount of carbohydrate. Off season, you get away with a little bit more. But basically, what happens when you under fuel a long ride is that you tend to come home and then just eat everything in sight. You're ravenous, and then you'll probably get excessively tired. Probably fall asleep in front of the TV, and potentially on occasion I've had headaches as well. You know, I've gotten this wrong more times than I care to remember, and to probably admit. But that tends to be how it plays out with me. I'll eat everything, fall asleep, wake up with a headache. And this isn't how training should be. You know, your high intensity sessions, fatigue aside, you should feel strong, and bonking shouldn't even really be on the radar. Long rides should be well fed, and unless you're doing a big increase on your typical ride duration, you should feel a bit tired at the end, don't get me wrong, but you should still feel capable of doing other stuff that day. You know, that shouldn't be you completely done for the day. That is how you're feeling. You're either riding too hard, you're under fueled, or but potentially both. So, under fueling for and during training will mean you require more recovery. And then that can have a knock-on effect for your consistency. The more recovery you need, you know, the less likely you're going to feel good for the next session, and the less likely you're going to do that session, or you're going to do it with poor quality. That's because, as I say, you're dipping into your reserves and potentially burning protein proportionally more for energy than you ordinarily would need. And I know when it comes to eating, you get a bit complex and personal, and there can often be weight maintenance concerns, calories concerns, but I can absolutely guarantee you, like 100%, that if you under fuel, your training will struggle and your weight maintenance goals will go out the window, regardless, because you'll then overeat after a session, and due to disproportionate fatigue levels, probably lack consistency. And I promise you, a lack of consistency is more detrimental to weight maintenance goals or weight loss goals than being obsessed over calories. I promise you that, okay? Consistency is where the lion's work of that weight maintenance or weight loss is achieved, okay? So focus on the consistency more than the rigid calorie focus, alright? And make sure your sessions are fueled so that you can maintain that consistency. I can promise you, like, the weight will stay off if you are consistent. Alright? And then just the final point. After all that, if you got that stuff right, actually, post-race, post-session recovery should be really quite simple. Like, you want a big hit of protein, around 20 grams immediately afterwards, and then some fast absorbed carbs, higher GI carbs to replace the glycogen you've burned, particularly if you're training again that day. And then you want to follow up with a bit more of a substantial meal an hour or so later. You know, high protein again with some slow release carbs. So lower GI carbs, your more complex carbs. So immediately afterwards, you want to refuel the tank, pump up the protein straight away. An hour or so later, you know, slower release stuff. And then another thing to consider is lean protein consumption before bed. It can help with your sleep quality. So, and something like casein, which is a slow release protein, just before bed, means it kind of drip feeds protein into your system whilst you're sleeping, and it just really promotes good recovery. So, as I say, you know, post-recovery, post-session and post-race recovery should be orderly, it should be systematic, it shouldn't be a feeding frenzy. Now, the one exception is if, you know, you're doing your big event for the season, like an Ironman, gravel race, whatever the scenario, and that's you done for the season. Like, you know, in that instance, you know, do what you want, enjoy yourself, burned it. But if you're racing again the following week, or you need to get back into hard training straight away, that recovery should be orderly, should be sensible, and focus on what your body needs. Rehydrate, high protein, get the carbs back on, you know? And you're going to really do that if you fuel before and after. Do that after before and during. Do that afterwards. It's not a complete shit show. So hopefully that kind of answers that question. I've strayed away from specific quantities and things like that, because there are videos in the members area. Anyway, so I'm coming up towards the base of the climb. I'm just going to change my speed. That one. You see my little time. So when you do these reps, I'll use the time. So I'll show you where we start. We're coming up to the start now. This is just a leg opener, not the benchmarking rep. So these pillars here, as you turn off, that's the start. That's where the timer starts. So I'm not going to go crazy. We're just opening the legs. So for this first rep, try and keep it sub-threshold, coming around sweet spot maybe. So I'll do this first rep so you can see roughly how long the climb takes. There's 3 switchbacks on this climb, so you can use those to pace yourself. And ultimately, what I want you to do is time yourself, and then your best time, I'd like to put that into a little bit of a squad leaderboard. So let me know what your time is after the session. to first hairpin. About a minute down. Ease up a little bit. Now approaching the second hairpin.
Up, down, up, down, up, down, up and down. Elevator up, down,
Yeah.
up, down, up and down. Elevator up and down, up and down, up and down, up and elevator.
This shit hot.
And down, up and down, and down.
Approaching the top now, final hairpin. Next swings around onto the velodrome.
Take it because you want it. Don't need permission because you already own it. Don't need to fake it because you want it. Don't need permission because you already own it. Own it. Bring me back, back, bring it back. Bring it back, back, bring it back. Bring it back.
Last turn coming up.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
And then just pay attention. So I'll tell you where the climb ends. Get ready with my timer. Climb ends when we enter the velodrome. So where the tarmac changes here. Okay. So 2 minutes 46 for that recce rep.
This shit hot.
We're going to recover around the velodrome, back down the hill, and then at the bottom of the hill, we'll do a U-turn, and that will be benchmarking rep. So we're probably looking at 2-3 minutes for this climb. So this is very much a aerobic lactic acid climb. So it's reasonably long, you know. So you do want to pace it a little bit and just really finish hard. Putting my shoes up. So this little loose course is great because you get that recovery around the velodrome, and then it automatically takes you back down the hill. So you only have to press the U-turn button once at the bottom. And now I'm just going to cruise downhill. Recovery rate, just spin up your legs, allow your heart rate to drop somewhere around 40 to 50% of FTP. So yeah, that's just about too much. Just so you know, the U-turn button is here. You go to the menu and we'll press that once we've gone a little bit beyond start. So gearing sorted before we start again. These hill rep sessions, I know they're no replacement for doing them outdoors. There is technique to climbing. You really want to be sat on the back of the saddle so your bums, your weight is over the back wheel so you get plenty of traction. Often I recommend hands in the middle of the bar where appropriate. Because that again helps keep you back on the saddle. And just trying to stay relaxed in the upper body, you know, chin up, shoulders down, the typical stuff as well. So you know it's going to be a 2 to 3 minute effort. So I'd really have a quick look at your power curve, whether that's on Training Peaks or wherever. So what am I doing for? So 3 minutes around 360, 70 watts. 2 minutes, 145. So we're in somewhere around 400 watts to start off with. So I have actually just gone through the start. I'll just get to this corner and then I'll turn around. Get to these little bollards and then menu. Now turn around. So getting into a gear, you know, don't stress if you're not perfectly aligned with me right now, okay? I'm definitely kind of watch and get through this first benchmarking rep, and then if you want to turn me off you can, it's not a problem. But just make sure, yeah, you're going to the velodrome. If you press it, it will disappear, and then when we turn to the right, through the bollards, through the pivots, sorry, I need to get the terminology, then we go. So I'm just getting ready to press my timer. Ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Off we go. Right. Got me going. And stay relaxed. Not go too crazy. Does ramp up. Starts off quite easy. And you see we're at 3% now. Ace is high, remember, over 90 if you can. First hairpin. We're down to 2%. Really, boys. Happen. Let's try and lift it now. Final hairpin. Finishing sprint. And what's line? Right. Oh. Yeah. Now, it's me 2 minutes before there. Then what I would then do, if I was one of you guys, I'd then message me afterwards or put a comment in Training Peaks, benchmarking rep, 2 minutes 4 seconds, and then what I will then do is add that to our little leaderboard. Thought a bit of healthy competition would be nice. Record the subsequent reps. So one thing I haven't mentioned, I didn't turn off there. Sorry. Turn around. Right, turn around. So just forgive me. I've got to turn off there, because that's the problem when you get off the course, you then have to navigate yourself. When I did that U-turn, it turned the course off for me. There's a lot going on. So I told you it was going to be a bit of a freestyling sesh. Unfortunately, velodrome's only it's a kilometre long, so not a big deal. Just pause to me, pause if you want to kind of back up with me or anything. I don't think it really mattered. The main thing for this session is I really wanted to walk you guys through the first couple of reps. So we're doing 4 reps in total, so just another 2, And then we'll be repeating this session in a few weeks' time, so it's really important that you understand. Oh no, I've done it again. Okay, I'll go around again. I might edit this bit out. Or not. With full transparency. But yeah, maybe that is your cue to turn off the coaching feed. But I managed to go through the talk, so if you do want to ring off, that's absolutely fine. Want to stay with. And you need a bit of motivation to get those last 2 reps done. Okay. So don't make the same mistake I've done. Make sure you're on it when it comes to exiting the velodrome. And we'll just go back down. I mean, you've probably given myself at least an extra minute recovery there. So this next rep, there's pressure on me. So once you've done the benchmarking rep and you've given absolutely everything, the second 2 reps, go hard, but we're not expecting that's the same result. We really want you to go hard on that second rep, but I've had a lot of recovery, so yeah, put myself under a bit of pressure. Get somewhere near that 2-minute mark. I'm also going to pedal up a little bit. A little bit faster, but you get the drill. As I say, what I'm using, if you're wondering what I'm using stop clock wise, just the normal clock on my PC. There's a stopwatch, or just use your phone or whatever. Make sure you time it. Few more reps and hopefully there'll be a little bit of a slip this time. I do like doing these types of sessions, particularly live. Makes it a bit more fun racing against each other. Nearly at the bottom. So, in my opinion, hill reps are just one of, if not the best kind of conditioning format. That's it, look. Makes such a better rider, so much stronger. It's not really an alternative, but doing it virtually is great in terms of the actual fitness. But so many skills you learn, how handling the bike, and also coming downhill as well. Forcing yourself to go downhill repeatedly in recovery. Okay. Turn myself around. I'll get ready for rep 3, which is long delayed. Go through the process again. I'm just gonna spin up to it, sort of around zone 2. Look over 200 watts. Turning onto the velodrome, yes. Let's hit those pillars again. Stop, start. Let's go, we'll just go past this. Alright, here we go. Okay, approaching the first hairpin. the cadence high. First one down. Two down. Maybe kick a bit earlier this time. Oh. Three down. I'm going to stay vigilant this time. Hello. 37. Pretty close. Definitely. But a lot harder that time. Get a little notice that turn. That's 3 down. One more rep. Got 204, 207. Let's see if I can keep under 2 minutes and 10. And that, I think, is kind of one of the ways that you can use, it's one of the things you can do to motivate yourself. And that's why it's so important to track your efforts and time yourself. Up climbs. Obviously, outdoors you can use Strava segments. Coming up on your head unit, I find that really helpful. It's one of the few really good things about Strava, I find. Really, for me, that's what Strava is, the segments. All their AI nonsense is a waste of money in my eyes. Great if they just made the app cheaper rather than pumping money into that nonsense. For AI, but not for what Strava's doing. I find one reason I love hill reps is, you know, we've done 3 reps already. That's 3 2 to 3 minute reps. Like, try and do that on turbo, just a normal structured workout. I feel like that takes a lot more motivation. Whereas when you've got a climb like this, and you can see your progress at the bottom and how you're getting closer and closer to the end, and then it just gives that a little bit more motivation to go for that finishing sprint. It means the more you put in, the quicker it's over. And I think that works very well for my psychology. But just remember, these hill reps are not, understand their purpose. You know, obviously the climbs vary in terms of duration. This one is very much an anaerobic one, and you're probably talking, what, about a kilometre climb, maybe a bit shorter in the real world. Whereas, you know, you can do up to 3Ks, and then you're suddenly looking at kind of 6 to 8 minute efforts, you know, real VO2 max, sufferfest. So these climbs, like, they have a real purpose. They're training your energy system still. Just trying to do it in a slightly more, in my opinion, interesting way. Anyway, right, so final one. Up now. Turn my doodah around. set my timer. I know what the legs have got for this one. Yeah, tip right onto the Virgin. Here we go. Off again. Right, let's go too crazy at the start. 31%. Then kicks up to 3%. 3% on a turbo. Actually feels surprisingly fun. Hairpin approaching. Up and down, and it eases off to 2%. Hairpin. Oh, the legs are really feeling it. Kick quite early again. Stay under 210. Good. Let's see. Nice. So you can see there, just under 10 seconds drop off in pace, which I'm pretty happy with, to be honest. I think I could have gone harder on that benchmarking rep, because it's hard to talk and count hairpins out loud. But now I'm going to spend probably, because that was, what, 3.5 really hard efforts. Take a nice long cool down. So you see the time, we've only been at it for less than 40 minutes. That's a really good quality session. Now, you can take a much longer warm up if you want, and probably would advise it. So before I even came on, I did about 10 minutes on my own, just warming up, mainly because I've noticed as it's gotten colder, I'm a bit breathy at the start. So I always warm up before I come on and do these sessions now, so that I can actually start and be relatively coherent. So would recommend do something similar, taking another 10-15 minutes. These hill reps and that benchmark, particularly if you want to be high up on the leaderboard. Really get yourself going. So just a quick run through then on our chat discussion about pre and in-race nutrition and the impact it can have on post-event recovery. Really want to drill into how important that pre and in session, pre and in event nutrition is, because you can really cut your recovery time down if you're properly fueled. I just really want to drill into this concept of each session kind of having one eye on the next. We're always after high quality, consistent training. Now what you don't want to do is, this section is actually quite a good example. We've already done sort of 3.5 reps really. That first rep was the cycle rep, staying under the threshold. Done the 4 reps. You might, and we're only 40 minutes in. You might be tempted to now go and do more reps, but think to yourself, am I really ready for that? Am I going to go really deep? Am I going to hammer myself to get through that? And that's important because that again will have a knock-on effect. The deeper you go, the more recovery you need. And so there's always this really kind of delicate balance that we have to strike between doing some hard stuff, provoke a response, but also kind of bearing in mind the rest of your life, what your age, how quickly you recover, so that you're ready for the next session. So it's all about kind of keeping a lid on it sometimes. Anyway, so that pre and in race nutrition is so vital. How you feel at the end. It could be hard work, but like hard work under your own steam rather than having to really dig into your resources. And I've talked about those 2 classic examples: bonking on a high intensity set like this, and then under fueling your long rides, and then being a zombie for the rest of the day. That isn't how it should feel. You know, particularly at this time of year where we're not looking for tons of time on a bike, tons of volume. Like those longer rides should feel well within your resources. So if you're finishing a 2 to 3 hour ride and you are dead for the rest of the day, something's not right, because that should be well within your fitness of all of you, and I know it is for all of you, otherwise I wouldn't say it. So look at the fueling, look at the hydration, and then if you get that right, yes, racing, training is still hard, but you shouldn't feel completely wrecked at the end, not due to a lack of fueling anyway. And then that will have a knock-on effect to your recovery. In the ideal world, your post-event, post-session recovery should be pretty straightforward. Big hit of protein straight away, carbs as well to restock the glycogen supplies, a larger high protein meal a little bit later. It should be that simple, as opposed to finishing your session and feeling sick, lightheaded, or coming home and just destroying the fridge. It should all be quite civilised. So yeah, there you go guys, bit of a shorter one. Take your time on the recovery. I'm going to take probably another 5 to 10 minutes offline, but well done, hopefully you enjoyed that. Good job.